China, a land of empires, of dragons, of ancient walls that stretch across deserts and dreams. A land so vast, its stories vanish before they're told. Most travelers know the China of megacities, the neon skyline of Shanghai, the hustle of Beijing, the postcard images of the Great Wall. But beyond the tourist trails, there's another China. A China built in silence, hidden in mountains, buried beneath lakes, carved into sacred cliffs. Places even the locals hesitate to name. Here, entire villages whisper through fog, temples rest on clouds, and forgotten cities sleep beneath water. They don't appear on your itinerary. You won't find them in the guidebooks, and yet they exist, waiting. Some are home to people who still live as they did centuries ago. Others, long abandoned, swallowed by time, haunted by memory. These are places where time fractures, where you step in and the modern world disappears. This journey is not just across geography, but deep into the forgotten. From sky villages lost in the Himalayas, to drowned cities beneath a man-made lake, to ghost towns in the desert wind. This is not the China you know. This is unseen China. Just 2 hours west of Beijing's glass towers and traffic snarls, there is a crack in time. Tucked inside a bowl of mountains, where phone signals fade and footsteps echo, sits Quandixia village, a place the 21st century never found. Built in the Ming Dynasty over 500 years ago, Quandixia is a village carved from stone, silence, and memory. Every rooftop, every archway, every worn stair is a living relic. Once, this was a prosperous merchant outpost on the road to Shanxi, rich with coal traders and scholars. Families grew their homes vertically, stacking generations into sloped courtyards like human fossils. Now, there are barely 70 people left, mostly elders. The young left long ago, chasing neon dreams in the city. Ask them about the old days and they'll smile, half proud, half grieving. They'll tell you about the festivals, the ancient wells, the secret stone tunnels that snake beneath the homes, once used to escape bandits during the warlord era. But there are things they won't say. Stories that pass in whispers, of ancestors who never left, of echoes in the alleys late at night, of rooftops where no snow dares to fall. Some homes stand sealed shut. Doors haven't opened in decades. Ivy has claimed them. Stone lions guard the entrances, their faces worn to blankness. Time here is not just still, it's layered. You feel it pressing down, like someone watching from the upper floors. Most visitors never stay long. A photo, a scroll, a sip of tea, then they vanish back into the noise. But Quandixia doesn't care who stays or who forgets. It will outlive us all. There are places in China where the mountains hide more than stone and silence. They hide entire halls, temples, chambers, carved by forgotten hands and claimed by no one. Deep in Guizhou province, beside the emerald veins of the Wuyang River, lies a system of caves so secret Many locals have never entered them. But if you step inside, past the damp air and the vines, you'll find them. Ghost halls, entire rooms carved into limestone, altar spaces, ceremony platforms, stone benches shaped for gatherings no one remembers. No one knows who built them. No signs, no written record, just echoes, and the strange feeling that someone or something was just there. Locals call them the spirit halls. Some say ancient hermits use them for secret Taoist ceremonies. Others whisper of bandits or exiled monks who gathered in silence. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. These caves were never just natural. Many of the halls remain untouched. You can see the outlines of altars, grooves worn into stone benches, footpaths leading deeper into blackness. It's as if a gathering was suddenly abandoned, mid-ritual, and time just stopped. And then there are the carvings, faces without names, symbols no scholar has translated. Some say they aren't symbols at all, just warnings, misunderstood by time. Stranger still, local elders avoid the caves after sunset. Not out of fear, they say, but respect. These halls still belong to someone, one whispered, even if that someone is no longer alive. In a country filled with temples and monuments, these halls were left unclaimed. No guidebooks, no entry fee, no fences, just an open doorway and a decision to step inside or to turn back. In Guizhou, not all sacred spaces stand above ground. Some hide in shadow, waiting to be remembered. To reach this place, you don't just need directions, you need purpose. There are no roads here, no buses, no cars, no casual tourists, just you, the trail, and the mountain's breath on your neck. Yubing is not found. Yubing is arrived at after hours of trekking, after your phone signal disappears, after the world behind you fades into silence. And then it appears out of nowhere, cradled in a sacred valley beneath the ice-fanged Meili Snow Mountain. Locals say this place was chosen by the gods, that the mountain protects it, hides it, not just from invaders, but from time itself. Here, villagers live much as they have for centuries, quiet, simple, watching clouds pass like pages of an ancient book. But Yubing is more than a village. It is a pilgrimage. Every year, Tibetan Buddhists walk for days to stand at the base of the holy Kawagebo Peak, a mountain no one has ever climbed. Not because they can't, but because they're not supposed to. Legends say anyone who tries to reach the summit dies. And over the year, many have. The mountain does not allow trespass. So they come only to pray, to leave offerings, and to walk the sacred loop, passing through frozen waterfalls, spirit temples, and a forest believed to whisper answers to those who truly listen. Most travelers in China will never hear of Yubing, and even fewer will ever reach it. But for those who do, it is not the distance that changes you. It's what you leave behind on the trail and what follows you back down the mountain. There's a city in China where the dead are said to live, not in memory, not in stories, but in stone. This is Fengdu Ghost City, a sacred mountain where the gates of the underworld were carved open by man's imagination and never fully closed. Locals say this is where souls come to be judged, where spirits cross over from the land of the living into whatever lies beyond. Fengdu's legend begins over 2,000 years ago, during the Eastern Han Dynasty, when two scholars came to this mountain to practice Taoism. Their names, Yin and Wang, when spoken together, sound like king of hell. What began as devotion became a place of dread. Temples were built here, hundreds of them. Statues, sculptures, each one a vision of the afterlife. Not heaven, not paradise, but trials. Bridges that test your soul, halls that weigh your sins, terraces where you plead for mercy before the ghost kings. They say if your heart is pure, you'll make it across the bridge of helplessness in one breath. If not, the spirits know, and you'll be pulled into darkness. Every part of the city mirrors an underworld, where karmic law rules and justice is absolute, a place where liars are silenced, thieves punished, betrayers turned to dust. It may sound like myth, but Fengdu exists, not as a legend, but as a place you can stand in, a place where every step feels like someone or something is watching. Some come to pay respect, others come to prove they're unafraid, but many leave before sunset, because when night falls on Fengdu, even the bravest feel like they've stepped too far. In Fengdu, the dead don't rest, they remember. There's a place in China where roads run out, and the sky comes closer, not metaphorically, but truly, tangibly, where clouds kiss the rooftops, and silence stretches like an endless breath. They call it Hemu. Tucked deep in the Altai Mountains of northern Xinjiang, Hemu is not just a village, it's a whisper of something older than maps. In this remote valley, closer to Russia and Mongolia than to Beijing, the ancient Tuvan people still live. Herders, horsemen, and spirit believers whose roots stretch back to the steppes. Their language is unwritten, their stories passed from tongue to tongue, echo in the wind like folklore made real. They believe every mountain here is alive, that every stream is watched by spirits. Winters here are brutal. Life is harsh, but it's also honest. No neon, no crowds, no noise. Just the pulse of the earth beneath your boots and the howl of wolves carried down from the ridges. In the evenings, you may hear throats singing rise through the pine trees. A sound so primal it feels like the mountain is singing back. And when the snow begins to fall and the whole village turns white and quiet, time seems to stop. You begin to wonder if this place was meant to be found, or if you simply wandered into a forgotten dream. In the far northwest corner of China, where borders blur and legends breathe, Hemu waits. Mount Sangking rises like a dream, 3 sacred peaks floating above the clouds. From afar, it looks like a Chinese ink painting brought to life, surreal, delicate, and otherworldly. This mountain has been revered for over 1,600 years, not just for its beauty, but for what it hides. Deep within its ridges, through thick fog and twisting trails, lie hidden monasteries, sacred Taoist sanctuaries clinging to the edge of the world. No roads lead here, only belief. It's said that immortals once lived on Sanying, that these mountains are not made of stone, but of spirit, that when lightning touches the peaks, the heavens open and the old gods listen. Unlike the famous monasteries of Wudang or Eimei, Sanqing shrines are quiet, forgotten by time, hidden from maps. Even many locals don't know the paths still exist. You don't stumble across these temples. You're led to them by the wind, by the fog, or perhaps by something deeper. Inside, the air holds centuries of prayer. Walls whisper chants carved into silence. Statues of ancient sages stare ahead, unblinking, eternal. And then, as the sun pierces the mist, something strange happens. The world below, the cities, the noise, the speed, disappears completely. Deep in the southern folds of China's Guangxi province, where mist slithers through limestone peaks like silent dragons, lies a town forgotten by time, but remembered by legend. Huangyao, a name whispered on rainy nights, a town born over 1,000 years ago and barely changed since. This place was once a vibrant stop on the ancient salt trade route. Now it feels more like a dream, preserved in amber, wrapped in moss, and echoing with footsteps long faded. Over 300 preserved houses, Qing and Ming dynasty, still stand here. But it's not just the architecture that makes Huangyao feel like a forgotten page in a spell book. Beneath these stones are secret passageways, old escape routes built during wartime, now sealed, or so they say. Locals speak of ghost stories told under oil lamps, of generals who vanished into these cliffs, of doors that appear only when the moon is right. They say this town is shaped like a yin-yang, balanced in perfect harmony, but dangerously close to tipping into shadow. There's a temple here, barely visited, where the god of medicine still watches. Locals leave herbs instead of coins, and an old tea house still standing, where philosophers and poets once debated beside bamboo flutes and plum wine. But now the ink has dried, the words are gone, only silence remains, a silence so thick you feel it in your bones. Huangyao isn't just a town, it's a question with no answer, a story whose final chapter was never written, and maybe never will be. At first glance, they look like spacecraft, giant rings of Earth dropped gently into the folds of a mountain. But these are no relics of science fiction. They're real, and they're alive. This is Gaoyi, a village built not in straight lines but in circles, for defense, for community, for something deeper. A tulou is more than a house, it's a fortress, a world, a womb. Each one can hold up to 800 people, families, generations, stories stacked like floors, all encircled in mud, stone, and fire-hardened memory. In Gaoyi, the tulus still breathe. You hear footsteps echo in the round. You smell rain rising off earthen walls. You feel centuries pressing in from all sides. Here, history isn't read, it's lived. Each room has housed birth and death. Each wooden beam carries the weight of revolution and reunion. Gaoyi remains nearly invisible to outsiders, hidden among hundreds of similar villages in the hills of Fujian, but few are this well preserved, this forgotten. The design circular to trap warmth and trap invaders. The symbolism, eternal, unity, family, the never-ending wheel. But the experience, impossible to explain. You don't just see a Tulu, you enter a different rhythm of life. No skyscraper will ever feel this grounded. No hotel will ever carry this silence. The Gaoyi Tulu doesn't want to impress you, it wants to outlast you. And long after the cities fall silent, this quiet circle in the hills may still be standing. In the far western reaches of China, where deserts blur the line between sky and earth, there lies a city that no longer breathes. No markets, no music, no firelight behind windows, only silence and wind. This is Jiaohe, a ghost city carved from the living earth, and once one of the most powerful cities on the Silk Road, built by hand out of dust and faith, and now returned to both. More than 2,000 years ago, Jiaohe ruled this region. It sat like a fortress in the desert, surrounded on three sides by cliffs, impossible to invade. But it wasn't built for war, it was built for worship. The monks who lived here believed in silence and eternity. They chanted in underground rooms carved directly from the plateau, and walked paths that haven't seen human feet in centuries. No one knows why they disappeared. Some say it was the Mongols, others say drought or plague, or perhaps they simply vanished, leaving behind nothing but sun-dried prayers and shattered altars. Walk these pathways today, and the heat feels sacred, the silence almost deliberate. It's as if the city is waiting, not to be rebuilt, but to be remembered. Jiaohe is a city carved from belief, abandoned by time, whispered by wind. It may be silent now, but if you listen closely, the walls still speak. There's a place high in the mountains of Sichuan where red-roofed houses cling to the cliffs like hanging lanterns. A place the locals call the Village of the Gods. This is Jiaju, a Tibetan village that rises like a vision from myth. So remote, so untouched, that many in China have never even heard its name. The homes here are more than buildings. They're offerings. Each one constructed with devotion, painted in colors that mark not fashion, but spirit. Red for happiness, white for purity, black to drive away evil. For generations, these colors have told the stories of families, of birth and death, of harvest survived, of prayers answered or unanswered. They say the mountains listen here, that the wind carries your thoughts straight to the gods, if your heart is still enough to be heard. Jiaju is part of Danba, a valley of ancient watchtowers and matriarchal clans, a place where legends are passed down not through books, but through blood. The women here are the keepers of tradition, guardians of the home, and in Jiaju, the home is everything. tourists almost never come here. There are no souvenir stalls, no taxis, just a winding road that climbs so high, even the clouds seem to bow. And when you finally arrive, if you do, the silence welcomes you like a temple bell. Not loud, but felt deep in the chest. In Jeju, time has a different texture, softer, slower, as if the modern world melted away at the valley's edge. It's the kind of place you don't find, unless you're meant to. At first glance, Shenyuan looks like a painting come to life. Curved rooftops glowing in the dawn light, mist curling above jade-colored water, and ancient bridges arcing over a moon-shaped river. But linger long enough, and you'll feel something else here. Something just beneath the surface. This is no ordinary town. Shenyuan is a puzzle box of forgotten dynasties, secret temples, and winding passageways carved straight into the cliffside. It's been called the Venice of the East, but that title is too pretty, too polite. In truth, this place is older than maps. It has survived floods, wars, empires, and silence. Locals say the cliffs that cradle Shenyuan are hollow. They say monks once vanished into caves behind temple walls and returned years later, claiming they'd only been gone a day. One of those temples still stands, the Black Dragon Cave. But don't let the name fool you. This isn't just one temple. It's an entire spiritual labyrinth, carved into the rock over centuries, layer by layer, god by god. Above, the town looks serene. Below, it holds secrets. There are tunnels in Shenyuan that no one has mapped, a staircase behind a shrine that leads to a dead end, until it doesn't. Historians say treasure was once hidden in these hills, gold offered by wandering emperors seeking divine favor. Some say it's still here, others say it was never gold they came for. Maybe Shenyuan is the treasure itself, not to be owned, only felt. A memory held in stone, a riddle whispered by water. You don't walk through Shenyuan, you disappear into it. High above the clouds of Guizhou province, balanced between heaven and earth, stands a place so isolated it feels like it was carved not by hands, but by the sky itself. Mount Fanjing, a sacred mountain wrapped in mist, myth, and gravity-defying silence. Most people have never heard of it. Even fewer have seen it. And once you do, you'll wonder if it was ever real at all. To reach the summit is to leave the world behind. Over 8,000 steps, no roads, no cable cars, just a vertical path, and a quiet promise that something waits above. At the peak, the trail forks, not left or right, but up or across. Two temples perched on separate spires, each one clinging to the rock like a secret. This is the Golden Summit, a place where the earth seems to hold its breath. And those who cross the Sky Bridge, a narrow stone span between two cliffs, say they feel something shift inside them. Some say it's the air, thin and sharp like glass. Others say it's the energy, an ancient pulse older than memory. These twin temples are known as the Red Cloud Temple and the Golden Temple. For centuries, monks believed they marked the gateway between the mortal world and something higher. Mount Fanjing has been sacred to Taoist monks for over 1,000 years, a place of meditation, of visions, of spiritual transformation. Legend says the mountain was once the meeting place of immortals, a bridge not just between peaks, but between dimensions. When the mist rolls in, the temples vanish, as if the mountain decides who can see it and who cannot. Fanjing is not a destination, it's a test. To reach it is to be alone, not just from people, but from time, noise, expectation. There is no market at the top, no Wi-Fi, just the sound of your own breath, in a silence so vast it feels alive. Beneath this quiet lake in eastern China, a city sleeps. Its streets now echo only with water. Its rooftops haven't felt sunlight in over 60 years. This is Qandao Lake. To most, it's a scenic getaway, filled with man-made islands and tourist cruises. But what no one tells you is what lies beneath. Shicheng, the Lion City, once a thriving cultural center of the Eastern Han Dynasty. Then, in 1959, it was drowned to make way for a hydroelectric dam. Thousands of people were relocated. The city was abandoned, but not destroyed. Instead, it was entombed, perfectly preserved beneath 40 meters of water. Imagine walking through a place where time has frozen. Stone lions still guarding gates, intricate wooden beams untouched by rot. A ghost city sealed in liquid silence. There are no waves down here, no sound, just the cold and the memory of footsteps that will never return. Locals call it China's Atlantis, but Shicheng isn't a myth. It's real, a sunken relic with lion statues, ancient archways, and 5 city gates still standing in the dark. Few are allowed to dive here. The waters are cold, the currents unpredictable, and Shicheng doesn't give up its secrets easily. Some divers say they feel watched, that the city resists, as if it remembers. Locals call it China's Atlantis, but Shicheng isn't a myth. It's real, a sunken relic with lion statues, ancient archways, and 5 city gates still standing in the dark. Few are allowed to dive here. The waters are cold, the currents unpredictable, and Shicheng doesn't give up its secrets easily. Some divers say they feel watched, that the city resists, as if it remembers. Nudeng, a salt village tucked deep in the hills of Yunnan, older than most cities and still beating in the rhythm of 1,000 years. Here, salt wasn't just seasoning, it was currency, power, sacred. Long before modern roads or trains, salt from Nudeng traveled hundreds of miles on the backs of men and mules, traded for tea, silver, silk, survival. For over 1,000 years, salt-funded dynasties built temples and shaped kingdoms. And yet, few today remember where it came from. Nudeng's secret lies underground, in natural brine wells that rise from the rock. Salt water drawn up by hand, boiled over wood fires and dried in the mountain air. There is no factory, no machines, only patience and memory. The roads here are stone. The air smells like fire and iron. There are no cars, only footsteps and hooves. No Wi-Fi, only wind through cypress trees. Salt in Nuodang is still blessed, still offered, still sacred. This village, it doesn't just preserve history, it lives it. Every stone path, every rusted bell, every grain of salt, a story still unfolding. Some places hide because they were forgotten. Nuodang hides because it never changed. The higher you climb into the mountains of Western Sichuan, the more the world begins to disappear. Oxygen thins, trees vanish, roads turn to stone, then to dust, then to nothing at all. Here, above 4,000 meters, where birds fly below you and the stars burn closer, you'll find a world few even know exists. This is Litang, one of the highest settlements on Earth, a sky village that feels more dream than real. Known as the Land of the Eagle, Litang is part of the ancient Kham region, a fiercely independent Tibetan land where warrior monks once ruled and legends were born. The people here speak a dialect older than time. Their festivals last for days. Their horses run like the wind. Life here is slow, sacred, unbothered by the outside world. The modern clock has no power here, only sky, wind, and spirit. Visitors speak of strange things in Litang, of dreams that come truer, of feeling watched by the mountains, of hearing music when no one's playing. Maybe it's the altitude, or maybe this place is closer to something else. Leading Monastery is one of the oldest and largest in all of Kham. Inside, time bends. Candles melt into centuries. Footsteps echo like prayers. This is a place of exile and of elevation, of silence so vast it speaks louder than any city. To reach Litang is to leave the world behind. Here at the edge of the sky, China dissolves into legend, and the journey ends not with a destination, but with the sense that maybe, just maybe, you've stepped beyond the map. Somewhere, beyond the skylines and highways, far from neon lights and tourist lines, China hides another face. A face carved by wind and silence, lit by lanterns instead of billboards, spoken in dialects few remember, and written in scripts fading from stone. You've seen ghost villages where time is trapped in cobwebs, cliff temples above the clouds, and mountain towns that sleep beneath the stars. But this is only a glimpse. China holds thousands more secrets, places not on your map, names not on your itinerary, and the deeper you look, the more invisible it all becomes. Because the real wonder of travel isn't just about what you find, it's about what you never expected to discover, the silence, the forgotten, the unseen. If this journey opened your eyes to places you never knew existed, imagine what else is out there. So if you felt something, wonder, curiosity, or even just stillness, do one small thing to help us keep going. Like this video, leave a comment, tell us which place left you speechless, and don't forget to subscribe, because the next journey, it'll take you somewhere even stranger.